Greetings, friends. I'm AK.
And I'm Laura.
And we are
The Chainsaw Girls. On today's episode, this is a first time watch for me.
This was an AK recommendation, actually.
It surely was. And this was my first time seeing this movie.
Yeah.
I actually have never even heard of this movie.
And it is
1987's Blood Rage.
Blood Rage. Apparently, we just love movies from 1987. And if it has blood in the title, even better.
Like, count us in. Also, I love that you chose this movie because we are getting close to Thanksgiving.
Yes, Thanksgiving week.
American Thanksgiving.
True.
Let's be clear. But I don't know how many horror movies are like around Thanksgiving. Like, are there many?
I know that this isn't the only one, but
Right.
there have to be others. Not as many as like Christmas.
No, there are a lot of Christmas ones, but American Thanksgiving ones, Thanksgiving. Didn't you tell me about that one?
Oh, I want Laura to watch Thanksgiving. If you've watched it, you already know. I don't know if we'll cover it.
Yeah.
I'm going to leave it up to you.
Maybe a bonus episode.
I'm just saying I'm down to cover it. It is ridiculous.
It's a killer turkey, right?
Yes.
I would probably be rooting for the turkey.
And he's very sassy.
Oh.
So I think that you will like that aspect.
a sassy bird.
But anyway, we're not talking about Thanksgiving today.
We're talking about Blood Rage, which also has several different names.
Yeah, it wasn't Blood Rage at first.
No, the first name was...
I want to say Complex.
Yeah, I think you're right. The Complex, which I guess I understand because most of the film takes place at an apartment complex.
I didn't even put that together.
I think that's
I was
why.
like, why the Complex? Okay.
I think that's why. Could be wrong. But yeah, most of the movie they're in an apartment complex. It was also called Nightmare at Shadow Woods.
Yeah, I want to say it was Complex and then it was Slasher.
Slasher, which if you watch the movie, it's in the main title. It says Slasher.
Yeah, and I didn't understand that at first because I thought I was watching Blood Rage, but the title card says Slasher.
Yeah.
I thought it was just telling us it's going to be a slasher.
Strap in, guys. This is a slasher. The only reason I knew is because I did research before watching it.
Yeah.
And so I knew that, but I feel like I would have been in the same boat. Like, why does this say slasher?
I totally understand why they changed the name from Complex because that's a terrible name.
Not a good name.
And then I guess they thought slasher was too generic, which it is.
It really is, especially at the time. Like slashers were that's a subgenre.
Yeah, and then it
Although
became...
the TV show Slasher, pretty good.
Oh. And then it became Blood Rage. And then there are a bunch of cuts. So fun fact, I accidentally watched the edited version the first time I watched this movie.
Yeah, that's crazy. I don't even know how you liked it.
At the time of this recording anyway, it is actually hard to find. There is the unedited version is free on YouTube, and that's what I ended up watching.
And if you do want to watch the actual unedited, unrated version, I believe I rented it on Fandango at home.
Okay.
Which used to be called Voodoo. But anyway, I think I paid for it. It was like $3 to rent.
So when I saw it free, I'm like, yeah, sure, I'll watch it on here. And then I started seeing weird cuts in the movie, and I was like, this isn't as gory as I thought it would be for a slasher.
Yeah.
And being called Blood Rage. And then I realized I'm watching the edited version.
And it was very much censored. So the heavily edited version was made for TV, or it was distributed on television at some point. And I believe the title was Nightmare at Shadow Woods.
So this movie had 4 different titles.
Crazy.
You also told me that this movie sat on the shelves for a while.
You did, yeah. They shot it in 1893, in 1983.
Which makes so much sense to me because some of the fashion choices in this movie I thought were even outdated for 1987.
No, totally. It kind of, to me, looks like the 70s.
It looks a little 70s, which makes sense in the early 80s.
Yeah.
But some of the girls' hair in particular.
Oh.
Like 80s, I expect teased hair no matter what, but this wasn't late 80s teased hair. This was early 80s, like a feathered.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And for teenagers especially, I was like, this does not seem right.
Yeah, some of these hairdos are unforgiving, and I feel like the actors watch it back and they're like, gosh darn, this is like on film forever.
I do wonder what our fashion choices are going to be in the future that we look back and go, what the fuck was that?
No, for sure. I mean, I look back at some of my looks and I'm like, that was a choice.
2016 was definitely a year for that.
Oh.
We don't even have to get into it.
Teasing? Oh my God. Yeah, it was a bit much.
Remember when I used to rock a poof?
I do.
That was like my hairstyle.
Everyone did a poof, but you held on to that poof, man.
I did.
That was your ride or die.
Held on for a long time, longer than I should have.
Should I read the IMDb description?
Yes.
A boy kills a man and accuses his twin brother of the murder, and the innocent brother ends up institutionalized, while his psychotic twin goes free. 10 years later, the innocent twin escapes, which triggers his brother into killing again. Dun dun dun. This was directed by John Grismer. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. The special effects makeup artist is Ed French. And I watched a really fun interview with him where he talks about how he's actually the character of Bill in the movie.
The guy on the date?
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
Yes. And he said he saw himself on film and said, this is the last time I'm acting on film, which is so funny.
Respect.
Yeah. No, I know, for real. But he talks about when it came to the special effects, like he really wanted every single kill to get more and more aggressive and more gruesome. He didn't want to use like dummies. He wanted to use the actors as much as he could.
Okay.
But he really wanted to create something gory and gross. And I don't know, like I think the unedited version sure as hell is gory and gross.
It shocked me. First of all, that's great storytelling that he wanted to build it.
Yes.
I'm like, yes, you build. You start slow and build it up. And it really showed.
Mm-hmm.
And I will say, when I saw the difference between the time on the edited version and the unedited, I was like, oh, it's only like 4 minutes,
Mm-hmm.
5 minutes. But I guess, like, how much are you really going to cut out of gore? And I was very pleasantly surprised when I did watch the unedited version. It did not disappoint. It felt like I was missing a lot by watching that edited YouTube version.
I was shocked that you didn't see like all of the cool effects that are in it and you still liked it. Cause I feel like you had to have felt a little like you were missing something.
You know, that actually does really speak to the movie, I guess, because I did still enjoy it because the actors, the one-liners in this movie.
So quotable.
It's such a quotable movie. So I still liked it, but by the end, I realized I was missing something.
Yeah.
The way the cuts were happening, I was like, wait, she walked into the room and now she's screaming. Obviously.
Yeah, because you had brought that up to me before because we rewatch the movies before we record, obviously. And last night we watched it and you had mentioned there were a lot of cutaways. And I was like, I don't remember there being cutaways.
Yeah.
And then we watched the unedited version and you were like, oh.
I kept pointing out like every scene. I'm like, oh, I didn't see that.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't see that.
Yeah.
I also had no idea there was so much nudity in this movie.
Yeah, there's definitely nudity. It's absolutely a slasher of the time.
Oh, yeah.
For sure. And I really appreciated how much work Ed French put into the special effects. It was storyboarded out. I mean, this was, even though it was extremely low budget.
Yeah.
I think he did such a bomb-ass job. Some of those kills, I'm like, they're gross.
One in particular we're going to get to that I was like, oh, the majority of the budget had to have gone to this particular scene.
Oh, absolutely. I know what you're talking about. Yeah, for sure. But yeah, all around, I enjoyed it. I was pleasantly surprised. I love low-budget B movies. You know that. I feel like both of us are like a little bit obsessed with those like super low budget. They're always fun.
That's why when I watched this, I was like, oh, she's going to love this. But still, whenever I make a recommendation, I get so nervous.
I do too.
Because I'm like, what if she's like, this sucks and I'm never going to watch anything with you ever again?
No, I would never, ever. Even when it's like completely
Not
depressing. And
like Possum. That's true. You watch Possum and you're so taking my recommendation.
Hey, and I didn't think it was bad.
Yeah, and I also feel like we are learning about each other. Like, oh, she likes this, she doesn't like that. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And honestly, like, let's be real here. I put over even the worst movies. Like, I put over movies that I swear, like, I feel like, what did we say last night? We were talking about, like, I don't know if I would recommend this movie to a bunch of people. And then you were just like, isn't that what we're doing on the podcast?
I'm like, we're literally about to.
Yes, but like, I mean, there's certain people that are gonna love this movie.
Yes.
Like, I feel like people like us.
You wouldn't recommend it to just anyone.
That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because it has a feel to it that I think some people probably wouldn't enjoy.
Oh yeah, I would not recommend this to my sister or my mom. They do not like movies like this.
No, 100%. Yeah. I feel like my mom would be like, why are you recommending this to me?
Yeah.
What about my personality screams I want to watch Blood Rage? You know?
What about our personality screams we want to watch Blood Rage because we do?
We definitely do. It's okay. We're weirdos.
That's fine.
What is the quote? We are the weirdos, mister. Anyway, it's from The Craft.
You were so over it. You said the quote and then you're like, anyway. Okay, getting into the movie.
Yes, let's just dive in.
Yes. So we are at a drive-in. And
it's also shot in Jacksonville, Florida. The only reason I'm saying that is I just thought it was like an interesting fact that it was shot in Jacksonville. I don't know.
Yeah, the whole thing.
Yeah, I spent a lot of time in Jacksonville over the last few years. So that's why it like stood out to me. I was like, oh, it's in Jacksonville.
That's very true. So we start out in Jacksonville at a drive-in, and this guy, teenager, walking into the bathroom holding his popcorn.
That immediately, I was like, ew, don't bring food into the restroom.
I'm already like, this is a real life horror.
No, for real. But he's not going to the bathroom at least. I think he's just checking himself out in the mirror.
And he was buying condoms from
Ted Raimi.
Yes, Ted Raimi with a trench coat and a bunch of condoms. Which I also thought it was concerning that he had them pinned to his jacket.
Yeah.
Because like you're pinning through the package.
Yeah.
And potentially the condom.
Right. Now it's like useless. But I was so excited to see Ted Raimi. That was his debut film. This was the very first film he ever did.
That's so funny.
Isn't
I did
that
not
amazing?
recognize him at first.
No, I know. I think that was so cool. In fact, he tells a story about how he made a deal with his dad that when he finished high school that he was going to move to New York and he was going to pursue acting. And his dad said, fine, but if you don't get a role within a year, you have to come home.
Oh.
And he said, okay. And he goes and he does it. And he was like trying to get an agent. He was working really hard. He couldn't get anything. He sends a letter back to his dad and says, I'm coming home. I haven't got anything. 2 days later, he got the call for Blood Rage. Isn't that cool?
Yeah.
I think that's so neat. So
He
we love
just
you.
barely made the cutoff.
Yeah, thank God. Because Ted Raimi, he's a treasure.
Hell yeah.
Love it.
So we're at the drive-in. They show a bunch of kids making out, okay, in their respective cars.
Oh, and then there's like one that like the guy's trying to make out with her and she's just like, stop it. And then he won't stop and she just whips the popcorn. So
I was
funny.
like, girl, don't waste the popcorn.
I know, but honestly,
do what you got to do to get out of
just
there.
kick him out of the car and keep the popcorn.
Right.
You know?
That would be the best case scenario. So we go to a car where there's a woman and a man making out. I was a little confused at first by this scene.
Yes.
Because
I was too.
Because they keep showing a bunch of teenagers and then we go to Louise Lasser.
Yes.
Is the actress's name, right?
Sure is, yeah.
And who is an icon in her own right.
Yes, yeah. She's a Broadway actress. I believe she was on the show Mary Hartman, which I don't know the show, but I think it was quite popular in either the 70s or 80s.
Yeah.
So very accomplished actress.
She's very much a Broadway actress, which you'll see in this movie.
For sure.
And they show her making out with this guy who you don't really see the guy at first. So at first I was like, are they telling us this is a teenager?
I wondered the same thing because they were showing a bunch of teenagers.
Yes, and I didn't know if she was making out with a teenager. I don't think she was.
And like sometimes actors from like the 80s, they were casting like older actors to play teenagers. So you kind of could go either way.
And also throughout the movie, she's dressed young, almost infantilized.
Yeah.
She wears like dresses that you'd think a little girl would wear.
But like with her cleavage out.
With her cleavage out and pigtails in her hair or some type of just very girlish looking style. So I was a little confused at first, but you'll come to see there's a lot going on here.
Yeah,
with
for
this
sure.
character.
Definitely. Oh my God. So much to unpack.
So she's making out with this guy. She's also a little, go ahead.
I was going to say the guy's shirt. Can we just talk about it for a second? I could not stop staring at it. It's so like 70s, early 80s. There's like birds flying on it. It looks like it's silk or something.
If you ever watch I Think You Should Leave, have you ever seen that? It's a sketch show. It's a Dan Flash's shirt. If you know, you know. But yes. So he's very of the time.
For sure.
And they're making out, but she's a little like trepidatious.
For sure,
She's not. I'm unclear on if she's feeling it or not, really.
I would say she's preoccupied.
Yes. And then you realize why.
Yeah.
And this also made me realize, okay, she's an adult, most likely.
For sure.
They pan to the back of the station wagon and her two twin sons are sleeping.
Yeah.
In the back.
In the back, yeah.
And so she's
it's like a station wagon.
Yeah. And so she's a little not really that into it, and he's getting annoyed.
I mean, she doesn't want to fuck him with her kids in the back seat. I get it.
Yeah.
Like any normal fucking person wouldn't want to do that.
I think he says something. He complains about like her even bringing her kids along, but it's like if that's a scenario and you want to go on a date, then
I have a lot of questions about it.
Me too. Because first of all, why would you want to bring your kids? But if she couldn't find a babysitter, it's like choose a different type of date.
Yeah, I'm thinking the same thing.
Don't go to a drive-in where you're like, I don't know. But also,
it was questionable.
Yeah, and also to him, I'm like, don't be a dick.
I mean, the men in this movie, there are a couple in this movie, actually a lot of the men in this movie, but the men that she is in relationships with.
Yes.
Wow. That's all I'm going to say.
Interesting choices, and we're going to dive a little deeper into that later.
I mean, I think there's a lot we have to like
Yes,
go
dissect.
over. Mm-hmm,
Yeah,
for sure.
So here we see the sons, like I mentioned, are sleeping in the back. The sons sneak out.
Oh, well, one of them wakes up and the other one wakes the other one up, and they see that the mom is preoccupied.
That is important to note.
Yeah,
They
definitely
see her
unlocks something.
Trigger something.
Yeah.
They see her making out with this guy, essentially.
Yeah. And the one twin is like, let's get out of here.
Yeah.
Which I understand. If I saw my mom making out with someone, I sure as shit wouldn't want to be laying in the back seat.
Oh, yeah, for sure. They don't hear them sneak out of the station wagon, which is weird to me, but whatever. They're preoccupied.
Sure.
There's a movie playing.
Yeah.
And they get an axe.
Uh-huh.
They go over to this car where another random guy, I guess.
It's the guy that was buying popcorn earlier that walked into the bathroom.
But I guess they don't know him. To them is maybe random. Making out with some girl on top of her. And the boys approach with the axe. Well, one of them is holding the axe. And the guy's like, hey, get out of here. Back off or whatever. It's like the cheesiest dubbed over audio.
Yeah.
And the twin that's holding the axe slashes him.
Oh, it's gnarly.
Yeah, all in the face.
Yeah, it's pretty gross. He's getting axed, man.
He's getting axed all right.
Like for real, yeah.
And so...
Oh, and there's a really cool shot of the blood splattering across the popcorn.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
That was neat.
And then the scene, one of the parts of that I didn't see in my first watch, the girl runs out of the station wagon naked, just butt-ass naked running away, which what else would you do?
Dude, I mean, I'd be out of there right away.
You have to.
Yeah, for sure.
And so the mother now catches up with them. Oh my gosh, what happened? What happened?
But
Terry.
But before that, right?
Yeah.
Terry. So I think it's important to note that the twins' names are Terry and Todd.
Yes.
Okay. Both of them played by Mark Soper, who I didn't realize I thought they were two different actors.
I had to look it up at the end.
Dude, the whole time I thought these were two different actors.
He did a great job.
He did a fantastic job. I guess he took the role very, very seriously too.
Yeah.
Like he did like character breakdowns on them and really like dove into the psychology of each twin. It's pretty cool. Like
That's awesome.
Yeah, I'll link in the show notes the interview I watched. But Terry is the one instigating all of this.
He's the one that swung the axe.
And he's the one that got the axe.
Yeah.
And after he kills this poor guy, he wipes blood on Todd's face and gives him the axe. So
Yeah.
it looks like Todd's the one that killed this guy.
Yes.
So then, like you were saying, the mom comes because she hears like a commotion. She hears screaming.
Right. She runs up. She sees Todd has blood on his face. He's holding the axe. So naturally, she thinks it was him. And at this point, he's gone catatonic.
Uh-huh.
So he's not speaking.
He's not talking. He's in shock. He just watched his twin brother kill somebody.
Yeah. He's just staring off into space and
Unprovoked, by the way. I mean, Terry just straight up killed this guy with no real,
yeah.
like,
At
I
first
don't
when
know.
they snuck out, I thought they were going to attack the guy that was making out with their mom.
So did I. Yeah. No. He
But no.
just projected onto
Yeah.
this poor guy.
He's like, you're going to get it.
Yeah.
I also wonder in that scene, what is the mom's name? Do you know her character name?
Maddie.
Maddie. So Maddie, she goes to Terry, right, to comfort him. I think.
Yeah.
She
Yeah.
doesn't comfort Todd or like grab the axe or be like, what did you do?
No, I mean, she honestly like doesn't even consider that Todd could not have done this. Like, I mean, she kind of sides with Terry pretty quickly.
Yeah.
Which you're already starting to think
There's favoritism going on.
there's
here.
favoritism.
Yeah.
Mhm, for sure.
So we cut ahead now, and Maddie, the mom, I'm just going to call her the mom.
Sure. Maddie, mom, whatever.
She is talking to a therapist, Dr. Berman.
Yeah, this is 10 years in the future.
Right. And the therapist has this weird voiceover in this scene. I was so confused at first because her character is talking, but the voice isn't matching. So I thought it was dubbed.
Yeah, I did. At first I did too. Yeah.
And then I realized like way too late into the scene, oh, this is her voiceover, her thoughts or her journal or whatever.
Yeah, I think it's like after every session, she records her thoughts on the session and how it went.
Yeah.
And this is her kind of talking about what's happening in the scene we're watching.
Right. But they're also showing them talking, which was very confusing to
Yeah.
me. So she ends up bringing Todd in. This is like her visit with Todd.
Yep.
Right. And she brings Todd a cake.
Yeah, like a pumpkin cake. It's also worth noting that Dr. Berman, is that her name?
Berman, yeah.
Dr. Berman believes that Todd is innocent. Dr. Berman's been working with Todd for a long time, and she is one of the only people that believes that Todd is innocent and that Terry's the one that killed that kid in the beginning.
Yeah. And so she's talking about that here. It's going to cut back and forth, but we end up seeing Terry playing football with his friends.
Yes, we're introduced to Terry and his friends and his girlfriend Karen.
Yes, and we see that Terry is living his best life. He's living a normal life. He's playing football with his friends. His girlfriend, like you mentioned, Karen is there. This other girl walks up. Oh, Andrea.
Andrea. I called her Adrian the entire time I was watching this movie. I was writing notes. Adrian. Okay, I'm sorry.
Andrea, the neighbor, and some other girl run up. They're like jogging.
Yeah.
And
I feel like, isn't that, I believe it's Maddie's like friend or something, and it's her friend's daughter.
It
or
probably
it's
is.
Something like that. There's some connection.
Yeah, they live in the complex. So I just kept calling her like the neighbor girl.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
But they talk about like how they're going to have dinner later or whatever.
Yeah, because it's Thanksgiving.
Yes.
And, I mean, you pointed this out like right away, but does Terry invite Andrea to dinner?
I think they were telling him like, oh, we're all going to get together. Like they were going to be joining them for dinner that night for Thanksgiving.
Yeah. And like Andrea is just like openly flirting with Terry.
And Terry is openly flirting with her.
Like he is into it. Yeah. Right in front of Karen.
And Karen is watching.
Yeah.
And he's just like, hey, like giving her the eyes.
Cut him loose, girl.
Karen is obsessed with Terry in this movie to the point where it actually pisses me off.
Yeah, like I wonder if he has that like narcissistic quality that like draws people into him.
100%.
Right? Like, and I think he like dangles like a carrot in front of Karen kind of and keeps her hooked. It's like the psychology behind it is...
It's deep. And
yeah.
It's just so frustrating to watch because you're like, girl, look at him. What are you chasing?
Like, what are you doing?
Like, no offense, but
no, I don't think he's a bad looking guy at all. I think it's his persona. It's the way that he acts. He's a dick.
Yeah, he is very uninterested in her throughout the entire movie, but she's just pursuing him and wants to,
Yeah, and I think they did a good job casting him because he is kind of like the all-American, like good-looking guy. Like, you know, he carries himself a certain way. He's very confident, but he also drinks glasses of milk and tomato juice. Like, it's questionable.
Yeah, we're gonna get to that because I do have questions about that. I still do actually.
I think psychopaths drink milk out of glasses.
I mean, I used to as a child, but it was also like more normal in the 90s.
I mean, I guess with cookies or something, but could you imagine sitting down for like Thanksgiving dinner and be like, oh, excuse me, I'm just gonna go pour myself a big glass of milk.
Okay, can I tell you though? I feel like, I don't know if it's a Midwest thing, but like we would literally have milk with dinner. Like I can recall eating like spaghetti and drinking milk.
It must have been also because of the whole dairy industry, like pushing how milk can give you like so much calcium and shit.
Absolutely. Big dairy up in this house, up in this family.
I guess so. Milk with spaghetti?
Yeah.
That's also a little kid thing, which I feel like, right?
Yeah.
We're not saying anything, but like,
but we know.
You get it. Like that he's juvenile in a way.
Terry and Todd are absolutely stunted in their mental growth.
1,000,000%.
Mental maturity.
Which actually makes a lot of sense why he would be drinking a giant glass of milk at Thanksgiving dinner.
Maybe. We're already like answering questions we haven't even got there yet.
Anyways, okay. We digress. Continue.
Yes. So, flirting in front of Karen, she's like annoyed about it, but not enough to not go to Thanksgiving dinner with them.
I would be like, have a nice time.
Yeah.
I'm out.
Yeah. So we cut to the Thanksgiving dinner. Mm-hmm. We got mom, we got her boyfriend.
Yeah.
Terry, Karen, Andrea.
And Brad. Brad is the boyfriend.
Yep. I think Andrea's friend or...
Oh, you know what we forgot to mention? What? That when Maddie brings the cake to Todd, like the pumpkin cake or pumpkin pie, whatever it is, he smashes it.
Oh, yeah.
He like crushes it. He is pissed at her for abandoning him and not believing him for sure.
And he is denying everything, but she doesn't believe him. His mom doesn't.
She doesn't listen to him at all. And even when Dr. Berman brings up that it was Terry, I mean, Maddie's reaction to that is like, what are you talking about, Terry? Like she can't believe it.
Yeah. So they're at Thanksgiving dinner.
Yep.
Absolutely denial. Mm-hmm. And the mother has an announcement to make. Mind you, 10 years has passed, no incident, right?
Yes,
that
exactly.
we're aware of, I guess.
That we're aware of, yes. Yep. Mm-hmm.
And Terry seems to be living his best life, whatever.
And flirting with Andrea at the table also.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Disgusting.
Like, she mentions that she likes to play tennis, and he's like, oh, you do? We should play sometime.
And I mean, I think they make a plan to like hang out that night.
And they zoom in on Karen's face. She's literally just like,
could you imagine?
No.
Like I think whatever drink is in front of me, I'd be like, oh, we're gonna play that game.
Yeah. Here, take your milk.
Oh, you like milk so much?
Be doused in milk. That's gross.
Gross. Anyway, he deserves it though.
Yes, he does. He really does, especially for what's about to happen. But the mother has an announcement to make. Her and Brad announce that they are engaged. Terry's pissed.
I mean, Terry immediately like has this look in his eye like an absolute psychopath.
Oh, yeah.
Also, he's wearing like a dress shirt, like a plaid dress shirt with the collar up, and then a bright red tie with the collar up.
Yeah. Like he didn't fold it down.
Aren't you supposed to fold it down?
Yeah.
Isn't that what they do?
Yeah.
He didn't. He just left it up. Again, another trait of a complete psychopath. Like,
I was going to say maybe it was the style of that time. You know, like every generation will try to do their own spin on something. But no, it's probably because he's a psychopath.
no, I think what you're saying actually makes more sense.
So at this point I wrote, and Terry is drinking a glass of milk.
I wrote it in my notes too. I think I wrote he's drinking a glass of milk. What a psychopath.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So Terry's very distraught. His mom gets a phone call. And Terry ends up going into the room. She's very distraught, and she's whispering to him like, okay, we can't tell anyone about this. Let's not ruin dinner.
Yeah. And like when the phone rings, she like goes in and she answers it. And then there's like shutters like between the kitchen and the dining room.
Yeah.
But I mean, when I say the rooms are close together, like it's an apartment. It's not like they're very separated, and she like closes the shutters
and you can still hear her talking.
Yeah, it's so funny. But basically she's overhearing this conversation, she's having this conversation with Dr. Berman, and Dr. Berman is telling her that Todd has escaped the institution.
Yes.
This is a big problem because one, it's Thanksgiving. Two, Maddie has just, she's announced to the group that she's about to get married. She really wants to keep dinner positive. She doesn't want shit to go off the rails.
Yeah.
And she tells Terry that.
Yeah.
And Terry is like, again, acting like a narcissistic fucking psychopath, is agreeing with her. He's like, yeah,
no problem.
No problem. I totally won't go out there immediately tell everybody.
He immediately tells everybody.
Well, he's toasting with his glass of milk.
Oh, yeah.
That might have been before. I can't completely recall, but he definitely raises a toast with his milk.
Yeah, and he sits down at the table and is like, well, you're about to meet the rest of the family because whatever he says is like
my psychopathic brother escaped.
Yes.
Or something like that.
Just very bluntly. Makes a lot of sense. He doesn't really seem to have a lot of empathy.
Right, exactly. Absolutely. No empathy at all. Like at all. Yeah.
And the mom, the way she looks at him in this scene was so funny to me. She was just like,
her cell was on point.
It was so good, and it
right?
just lingered. I was like, yeah, what you would be like, what the fuck was that, bro?
And she has him on like a high pedestal, so she thinks he can do no wrong. So for him to just betray her trust immediately, she's looking at him like with her eyes glazed over. Like she's like,
it wasn't like days later you forgot I wasn't supposed to say anything. He sat down immediately and told the entire table.
Didn't even try to kayfabe it.
And wasn't even like tactful about it.
No, he was so crass and terrible.
So the mom and Brad are in the bedroom chatting. She's upset, whatever. He immediately tries to start like making out with her.
She's clearly distraught.
Yes, like very upset.
Very upset. Like on the verge of tears upset.
And he's like, oh, maybe I can excite you a little bit. Like, read the room, Brad.
Brad, that's not what she's looking for, okay? She needs your support, not your dick, okay? Like, straight up. I was like...
That's not the consolation she needs in this moment.
And she keeps apologizing to him, which to me is like heartbreaking.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like there's so much to be said about this woman.
We could really break her down if we wanted to.
I really want to know what happened before this movie. Like, I want to know who the father of the twins are. Yeah. I want to know what her relationship is with the twins.
Yeah.
And what it was like growing up.
Like, I want the whole backstory on them.
I really do. Because clearly Terry takes issue with with Maddie engaging in any kind of sexual contact with another man.
Yes, because
which we see here.
Terry is looking through the door like a little creep.
A total creep.
And sees them kissing and is immediately once again upset, very upset about this. Not just like, ew, my mom's kissing someone like a normal person would react. Mm-mm. No, he's mad.
And you can see like connecting the dots here. The brother has escaped and his mother's he thinks his mother's about to get it on. It has he's snapped. It triggered something.
Yeah. He's back to 10 years ago.
For sure. Yep. Mm-hmm.
So the mom decides she's going to start deep cleaning her house out of stress.
Yeah, exactly.
Which I wish I did that when I was stressed out. I really do.
I do that.
You do that?
I related to her on so many things in this movie.
I'm envious.
When she's there's a scene where she starts scrubbing her oven. Uh-huh. I was like, oh, I feel you, girl. I get it. I
wish I did something productive like that. But
there's another scene where she's sitting on the ground eating food out of her fridge, and I'm like, yeah, you know what? I've been there.
Yeah.
I feel for you. I really do. And yes, the mother is having a hard time. She's cleaning. Dr. Berman and Jackie, Jackie is her assistant, show up at their house. Mm-hmm. And they're basically telling her we're here to try to find Todd.
Yeah.
Obviously the mother's a little distraught. Jackie's holding a gun, but he assures her it's just a tranquilizer. Mm-hmm. And at this point, Todd has got out of the institution and he's kind of wandering around the city.
And he's just moseying.
I really felt for him because I don't think he's seen outside the walls of the institution in so long. He's kind of looking at everything in wonder.
Yeah. Imagine how much has changed in the world since he's been locked up as a child.
Yeah, for real. And he walks very juvenile.
Yeah.
His hair is messy. I think the actor did such a great job distinguishing between the two. They're completely different.
He really did. Mm-hmm. To the point where we thought it was two an actual set of twins.
I really did. I was like, wow, these actors are great.
Yeah.
Which I'm even more wow, this, it's very obvious that he took the role very seriously and it shows bomb. And he's a great actor.
So Brad, the fiance, he is the property manager of this apartment complex.
Yes. I think, exactly. Yeah, he runs it. Mm-hmm.
And so he goes to his office. I don't know what he was doing there. Maybe to get his gun. He did have a gun in there.
Right.
Maybe to do work, whatever. Mm-hmm. So he goes into his office and he's sitting there. Louise, that's the actress's name.
Yeah, that's her name.
Maddie, the mom, she's waiting for a phone call from him. She wants to make sure everything's okay. And Brad is sitting there with a beer, just chilling. He's trying to figure out what's going on.
Shit. He just had a bomb dropped on him.
Yeah.
Even though I don't like the guy.
He's grabbing his gun. He's grabbing a beer. Mm-hmm. He has it in his hand. Terry walks in through the sliding door with a machete. Love the weapon choice there.
That's totally you.
And chops his hand off while it's holding the beer. So the can of beer is still in his hand while the hand is on the ground, kind of, I don't think it was moving, but
it was.
Oh, it was moving.
It
okay.
was wiggling.
I'm was I imagining that? No, it really happened. Uh-huh. And the arm is spurting out blood and he's freaking out, obviously.
It's really neat, actually. The effect's really neat. It goes from being super serious to then you see the hand on the floor twitching and it just I don't know, it makes the scene a little funnier.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I think right before he slashes his hand off, he's like, well, look what the cat dragged in.
Yeah, he's not expecting Terry to kill him at all.
Also, that is such a, I don't know, middle-aged person phrase to say.
An old man thing to say.
Yeah. I just thought that was funny. But so the therapist, Dr. Berman, and her assistant, Jackie, are now going to search in the woods to try to find Todd.
Yes, and I did write down some quotes because the movie is very quotable, but as they're walking around, Dr. B and Jackie split up and Jackie's walking around going, hey, Todd, I got some goodies. Want to get high? You got to come out first. And he's singing he's a lunatic, right? Isn't he singing a little, he seems a little too interested. He seems too excited to be doing this.
Yeah.
But at the same time, not.
I think he really wants to use that tranquilizer gun.
Yes, that's how I felt.
Because he does run into Terry before they go into the woods and he grabs him by his collar and shoves him up against the wall. And the doctor had to come in and be like, no, he has a twin. That's not Todd.
Yeah.
And he's like, all right. He was ready.
Trigger happy for sure. Yeah.
Definitely seems like that.
Mm-hmm, definitely. Yeah.
So Dr. Berman is in the woods and Jackie decides to take a little smoke break. He wants to use some of his goodies.
Was that a big fat J? Because I wrote in I wrote in my notes, I couldn't tell if it was a J or a cigarette.
Was that a big fat J? Just how you said that.
Just a quick question. Was he smoking marijuana?
He was smoking the devil's lettuce.
I love that. I love that term, by the way, the devil's lettuce. It's so great. Okay.
So he's taking a smoke break because Terry walks up and he offers him a hit.
Right.
And whatever he says right there, I'm like, okay, yeah, he's smoking.
Yeah.
He's smoking weed. It's not a cigarette. And he takes it.
He does. I was surprised.
Me too.
Yeah.
Because he doesn't drink.
Yeah.
But, you know, some people are, what is it called? California?
Cali sober.
Yeah. California sober. There you go.
Raise your hand if you're Cali sober.
Can't raise my hand. Sorry.
2 years, dude. I haven't had a sip of alcohol in over 2 years.
Wow.
Isn't that crazy? Anyway.
Can't relate. So, I wrote Jackie confides in Jackie. That is not correct. Jackie confides in Terry.
Yes.
Which I also thought was like, the way he said it was so blunt and like insensitive, but also he was walking around the woods singing he's a lunatic. So.
Yeah, he definitely, tact is not his strong suit.
So Jackie confides in Terry that Dr. Berman told him that Todd never killed anyone. Terry's like, okay, well,
you gotta go.
Just impales Jackie with the machete.
These kills are gruesome.
Yeah, the noise he makes is gross.
Then it sounded like real to me.
Because it sounds guttural.
Yeah, dude.
It wasn't just like, ah, yeah. It wasn't over the top. If you're watching the video, you get to see my singing. If you're watching the video, you get to see my theatrics too. But you know what I mean, like
yeah, it wasn't like the generic like you know that like sound bite that they use in like multiple movies.
Yeah,
it wasn't that.
No, have you ever been punched in the stomach or like had the wind knocked out of you and the noise that comes out of you?
Dude, it's happened in so many matches. I just go to the fetal position and I'm like,
and you're like,
I have to bump more.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, having that happen to you and then you have to try to tell someone something.
Dude, it happened to me at the beginning of a match on Dynamite and I literally had to get up and take like 3 more bumps. I couldn't even move. I was literally like,
If you've never experienced that, I can't even explain it to you because it's incapacitating.
Oh, it's awful. You go into the fetal position, like your whole body. It feels like you're dying.
That happened to me at AEW as well.
No.
On an ROH match. I went to, I think it was against Mercedes, and she like ended up landing on my, like halfway on me, knocked the wind out of me. Not her fault, by the way.
No, it happens.
But knocked the wind out of me, and I had to try to like recover immediately, get up and do the night, and I'm like, I think I literally went,
I know it happened with me in stat, and I was just like,
oh my gosh.
And I knew what was coming. Actually, I'm pretty sure we did a power slam on the floor after that. Oh my God. And it was a double whammy. I got the wind knocked out of me on that too.
Of all things.
Oh yeah, and that was the beginning. That was like we were starting hot.
Mine was the beginning too. And you're like, I'm not gonna survive this.
No, for real.
That's the thought that goes through your head.
The
you're
minutes are counting. I'm like, I could just roll under the ring. This could be it. I could just, and the thoughts that run through your head in those panicked moments.
Yes, because in that moment you really think I cannot physically get up and do anything, but you just do.
Dude, when we went into commercial break, I was like praying to baby Jesus. I was like, thank God we're in commercial.
We digress.
Anywho, where were we? Okay, so
impaled with a machete.
Getting back to it, impaled. Jackie Dunzo.
Yes.
Dr. B is walking around the woods and she's looking for Todd. She's calling for Todd. She's trying to find him. She can't.
No.
But she does come across Terry.
Terry finds her.
We have a cut. So we don't see what happens, except that she looks very frightened.
Yeah, it's like zooming in on her face in slow motion, and she's like...
And also she knows that she already believes that Terry originally killed that guy in the beginning.
And she knows that's not Todd because she's been working with Todd.
100% yes.
Yes.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
So we pretty quickly find out what happens to her. At first, it cuts back to the mom, which you had mentioned. She's eating leftovers on the floor. She's sitting on the kitchen floor, refrigerator open. Ew, did I just say very Midwestern? Refrigerator.
What is it supposed to be called? Refrigerator. I just call it the fridge.
Yeah. I don't know why I just said refrigerator.
Maybe it's because I brought you back to your roots when we were talking about milk.
You're taking me back to my Midwestern roots. Anyway.
She's sitting on the floor, very relatable to me anyway. I was like, oh, I've been there. One time I ate half a chocolate cake on the floor in the kitchen when I was having, I can't remember why I was so depressed, but the chocolate cake was really good. It was cold.
I feel like I would have to be drunk to sit on the floor, only because I get very uncomfortable.
No, for real. I'm sure there was something going on there.
But
I
I
don't know.
would bring a whole chocolate cake to the couch for sure.
Oh my God. I mean, we've talked about that. Whenever people bring in a bowl of popcorn and it's like, okay, no, just bring the bag.
The whole bag.
Let's be real
Yeah.
here. Bring 2 bags.
But she's eating these leftovers out of the bowls with her hands. Just
Yeah, which speaks to her mental state. I would say this woman has serious trauma and PTSD. She seems very codependent with Terry.
yeah.
Like
way too much.
way too much and very like overprotective. Which obviously, okay, I get it. Your child killed somebody, but even before that, it seemed as though she was a helicopter parent.
They were definitely sprinkling little.
Yeah, and that's why it makes me wonder. We watched clips of Joe Bob last night, and Joe Bob just straight up said like that he thinks, or I don't know if he even said he thinks it, but he just suggested that perhaps Maddie was
incestuous
with the twins, or at least with Terry.
Yeah. Which I was like, it's definitely implied.
Yeah, I would say that's not out of the realm of possibilities.
No, I don't feel bold enough to say that's for sure what's happening.
Right.
But I do think it could be heavily implied.
For sure.
Which we're going to see more of. So she's slowly breaking down here. And now Todd is stumbling through the woods, and he quite literally stumbles upon his therapist, who I think he had a good relationship with, it seemed.
Oh my dude. Okay, let's break this down.
When this happened, especially because I didn't see it the first watch, I was like, whoa, like I missed so much just by the 4 minutes being cut out.
Yes, that effect. So let's break it down.
Yes.
Dr. B has been tarried. Okay. Her body is cut in half. Her torso is like twitching and moving. And then her legs, which it almost looks like her knees down were also cut off, but you can't see them.
Yeah.
And they're like twitching. Essentially, she's been chopped the fuck up.
She's dismembered and all of her body parts are still twitching.
Which
her torso still has her like the actor's arms and legs. So she's like, oh, like,
yeah,
it's wild.
It's crazy. It's a really cool effect.
Yeah.
And it gets really dark. Like Todd, it makes me think of the Fox and the Hound because the character's Todd.
Yeah.
Like, but Todd comes across his therapist in pieces and he tries to put her back together. And, you know, the movie, I shouldn't say it's lighthearted, but it's definitely comical. And this particular scene was not comical. It was so dark. He starts like crying to her, like, you believed me.
Yeah.
You know, like it was just so tragic.
The most heartbreaking part to me is he tried to start putting her back together.
Yes, dude. It's like, it's like, baby, no, she ain't a puzzle, man.
Oh my
gosh.
gosh.
Leave that to the investigators. You know?
I know, you just tainted the scene.
Don't fuck up the crime scene. I mean, it's the 80s, right? Who knows? They probably wouldn't have been doing much anyway.
Yeah.
Anywho.
So this actually, when Terry does hack her up, even though we don't see it, we do end up seeing him with like the bloody machete after. And this is the first time he drops his catchphrase.
It is now in the repertoire. I cannot wait to drop that line on someone.
I can't wait to get a t-shirt that says this. It's not cranberry sauce.
After licking his fingers, after licking the blood off his fingers.
He says this so many times in the movie. I think it's 5 times total.
He improvised that line. That's an improvised line.
And they're like, keep saying it, keep saying it.
Yeah, right? They're like, that's pretty good. Let's use it again.
That killed me. Every time he said it, I'm like, why does he keep saying this?
I know, but it was it really does, like, because the movie's pretty dark.
Yeah.
It does make you laugh. Like, it lightens it up a little bit.
It's not cranberry sauce.
It's not cranberry sauce.
It's definitely not cranberry sauce. So Terry is going to the neighbor's house, Andrea. And she offers him here vodka and tomato juice, which, first of all, disgusting combination.
People love ordering tomato juice on planes.
Really?
Oh, I see it all the time. Yeah, it's especially like older gentlemen. I notice they order tomato juice.
I've never noticed. I thought it was like a ginger ale was like the drink on a plane.
Ginger ale to me is like when you're sick.
Yeah, I think it's to help people's stomach if they're like nauseous on a plane.
Oh, well, that makes sense.
But tomato juice, I don't understand. I do remember my friend's grandpa having like a fridge full of V8, like the old school, not like not the newer one that had like fruit in it. I'm talking like just tomato juice in the basement, and we used to drink them because there was nothing else to drink.
Oh my God. We always had it at like Thanksgiving, Easter.
Gosh. Am I Terry? I used to drink milk and tomato juice.
Like,
tomato juice. I didn't like it. I just drank it because we didn't have anything
it was
else
the only
to drink.
option. It's not like you weren't like searching out for tomatoes.
Yeah.
I almost said tomato sauce. Tomato juice.
Sauce. But disgusting.
No, that's nasty. I know. My aunts and stuff always liked drinking it at the holidays. I could never. And people like what are they called?
Bloody Marys?
Yeah.
I've never had one.
They're Bloody Marys in the States and they're called Caesars in Canada.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they use clam juice.
I never had one of those because it sounds disgusting to me.
No, thank you. I can't. I don't want to eat my drink. It's disgusting. But yeah, Terry says he doesn't drink. And Andrea is definitely into Terry. And Terry comes across as not into her sexually at all.
No.
He is not into her.
She's like, what do you want to do? And they like sit on the couch. And then he's like, so is anything good on TV? And just ignores her. And she's like, the hell?
Yeah, like she thinks he's coming over to hook up.
Yeah.
And no.
Also, I thought him not drinking was going to come into play later. That's one thing I do have a question about. I think you kind of covered it earlier. It could be that he is still like juvenile in his own mind.
That's what I think.
That makes a lot of sense.
I also wonder now if his father was an alcoholic. Maybe his father was abusive.
We really want to deep dive into their past.
I'm so curious because whoever wrote this obviously had ideas of like, or, because the actors did do so much preparation, like maybe they made those choices.
Yeah.
Like maybe the actor, Mark Soper, like maybe he was like, well, I want Terry to have this quality about him because of XYZ. Because sometimes when you get into a role that you're not given a lot of information on what the character is, you just know what they do in the movie or the TV show or whatever. You have to come up with all that stuff. Yeah. So I don't know, maybe. I'm so curious.
That's the thing. I'm so curious. I just want to know if there was a reason, because he said it in the dialogue. It wasn't just that he wasn't drinking.
Yeah.
It's that he said it, I don't drink. So I thought there was going to be like some twist at the end where like, oh, he drank alcohol. It's actually Terry or it's actually Todd or whatever. I don't know. Anyway.
No, I love it. I love it.
So Andrea is into Terry. He wants to watch TV.
Oh, Terry also tells her that he's majoring in psychology.
Oh, I missed that.
Which is like laughable. Like,
I missed that.
Of course you are, Terry.
Of course you are. A narcissist wants to major in psychology.
Yeah. Anyway.
So Karen is going to Terry's house because she wants to go
like hang out with Terry. She wants to
more than hang out with him.
That's true. You're right.
She's going to Terry's house, her boyfriend, but her boyfriend, Terry, is at Andrea's house.
Sure is.
Not making out with her on the couch.
Yes.
Watching TV. And so Karen's ringing the doorbell. She goes around the back. I'm like, damn, girl, like if he doesn't answer the door, give it a rest.
Give it a rest. He's not taking a nap, I promise you.
But she finds Todd in the backyard who was trying to break in.
Yes.
And she thinks it's Terry.
Of course.
Because why wouldn't she?
Right.
And it is so funny because she thinks it's Terry and thinks that it's just him being high, and that's why he's not responding.
Yeah.
And she's like, are you high? I can tell. You get quiet when you're high or whatever.
Yeah. Because, I mean, why would she think? But
Right.
she was at the dinner table when they announced that Todd was on the loose, so who knows?
Yeah. And she's confessing her love to him.
Oh, yeah.
In this scene. And this, I think this is when I really started to get annoyed with her because I feel for her on one hand, but it's also just so frustrating to watch because she's like, I decided I want you to make love to me.
Oh, girl.
I'm like, girl, why?
Girl, love yourself. Don't give it up to this guy.
Also, that whole conversation just reminds me of real life scenarios where, like, because it's one-sided, right? She's just talking at him, and he's not responding.
Yeah.
And she's like assuming his response. And that escalates to, I decided I want you to make love to me. And it's like
maybe that'll initiate a response from him, or maybe that will get him to respond to me.
Yeah, but like what? And I'm like, what in this interaction made you think like, yeah, he's into this?
No, I know.
She was kind of like, oh, I know you think this, or oh, I know you're high.
That again makes me think that he's a narcissist, and he did that thing where he made her feel a certain way at the beginning.
Yeah.
And now she's trying to get back to the point where he was nice to her.
Yeah.
Because that's what they fucking do.
That's what she's fighting for at this point. And also that has a lot to do with her as well.
For sure.
As a person.
Yeah.
Who's just like, I want to make this work.
Yeah.
So I'm just gonna like answer for you, basically.
And let's not forget, they're like 20 years old.
Yeah.
So they're like frontal lobe's not even developed yet.
Yeah. It's crazy to me that 20 is considered an adult now.
No. Oh my God. Oh God.
And I say now, but I mean like now that I'm older. I look back on that. Because of course when you're like 14, you think you're an adult. You already know.
Yeah, like, no,
but then you look back and you're like, oh my gosh, no. Anyway.
No, so true. And so Todd, eventually, after she confesses all this, he says to her, I've never kissed a girl before.
He straight up tells her, I'm not Terry, I'm Todd, which I didn't think he was going to do.
And his eyes are all big like a puppy. It's so sad. I'm like, oh, honey, first of all, don't tell her that. It's weird. But he's been in an institution. Like, he doesn't know how to interact with
He has barely transitioned into an adult.
I'm with you 100%. But that scene made me so uncomfortable. I was like, oh my God.
It was really awkward that I never kissed a girl.
And also, like, Todd's being painted as a psychopath, and now he's coming at her like, I've never kissed a girl. Like, I would immediately be like, what the fuck? I gotta get out of here.
She was like, oh, well, you should try it sometime. Bye. And then
she runs off. Thank God.
She pretty much did. Okay, bye.
She was our closer, man.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
So she runs right to her group of friends and tells them.
Artie and I think the guy's name is Greg.
Yeah.
Is it Greg? Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And she's like telling them, she's sitting in the car with Greg. Artie goes to like, I'm guessing check it out or something.
Yeah, he grabs a bat and he's like, don't worry, babe, I got this.
That's right.
We find out later Artie is very into Karen.
He for sure is. And Greg is like, oh, it's okay, come here, and puts his arm around her and tries to start kissing her. Why? That's the second time this has happened in the movie. Once again, read the fucking room.
Yeah, like, guys, stop it. She's distressed. This is not an opening.
Trust me, when someone is crying, the last thing that they want is for you to comfort them with your dick.
Like,
I can't speak for everyone, but
of course, but at least I will speak for myself.
Yeah.
When I am crying, trust me, your dick is not wiping my tears away. Like, it's not happening. Do you know what I'm saying? Like that. We're looking for comfort. Comfort me. Okay.
Oh my goodness. Okay.
So, yes, Artie goes to look for Todd, and Karen is with Greg, the perv Greg. And now we cut to there. Who's watching the movie? Is it Adrian? I keep calling her Adrian.
And Terry.
Andrea and Terry are watching a movie on TV. Mm-hmm. What is it? Because I was trying to look it up.
Oh, I couldn't find it.
The only thing I found was that this doesn't make any sense. I saw something that said it is the movie. Like, they're watching the movie, which doesn't make any sense to me. So I'm assuming Google had that wrong.
Maybe they mean the movie that was playing in the beginning of the movie at the drive-in?
Yeah, I don't know. If anybody knows that's listening or watching, can you tell us? Because I always love to find out the movies they're watching.
It was another slasher.
Which I think is significant. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm curious. So they're watching this movie, and then Andrea starts rubbing on Terry's leg.
Terry ain't into it.
And he literally looks at her and is like, what are you doing?
I know. It's so like, and I mean, I think Andrea, she ain't a girl's girl, that's for sure. But like, if I was Andrea, if I was like a piece of shit girl like that, and I hate to say that, but like, really, you don't do that to someone else's boyfriend. It's really fucked up. Yeah. But like, I would be confused. Yeah. Wouldn't you be like, okay, well then why are we hanging out?
If in this context, yeah.
Right, exactly. In this context.
Absolutely.
As the character, I feel like, anyone would be confused.
One thing I thought was so funny in this scene is when the parents, or the mom, I guess, comes home and Andrea's telling her like, okay, it's $10. And the mom's like, $10?
Whoa.
And like rich potential baby daddy or husband, whatever.
Bill's got bills.
Yeah, Bill, he does. And he's like, I'll take care of it. But I just thought that was so funny because I was like, first of all, $10, but it was the 80s.
Sure.
But you didn't set this price ahead of time?
Yeah, I thought that was like, what are you going to give her, like $2?
Yeah.
Come on.
I think they just wanted to set that she doesn't have the money and he does.
Absolutely.
Probably.
For sure. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So Terry and Andrea leave at this point, and Karen and the guys are running up to them. So they kind of meet outside.
Yep.
And Karen's telling Terry, I found your brother. What?
When you pointed out this scene.
Oh, this part is so funny to me. So Karen is telling Terry about it. He's so disinterested in her. Like, he's just like, what? Are you kidding me? Or he said, are you goofing me? I was like, ew.
I know. Like,
and she's like, I wouldn't kid you about this or whatever. And he is going to go try to find Todd.
Yep.
And so this part killed me. She's like, do you want me to come with you? And as Terry's walking away, he just looks over to her and is like, no. And
they hold on to him for like a beat.
Yes, it's the pause. The way he looks at her and then is like, no. And then there's still a little pause. And then he turns and walks away.
See, that's what I'm saying. He's mean to her.
Yes.
But wait until later. Then he's nice to her again.
Yeah, which I also was curious about. I have questions about all of this.
Shithead.
But he does not give a shit. And she's just like, And she still wants him.
I know.
I guess like it's just like she has like whatever like insecurity,
fucking Stockholm syndrome or something.
That, or she's just very insecure and wants it to
work.
She wants to be able to say like I won him over.
Yeah, maybe. No, for real.
So we go back to the mother, and she's, you know,
deep cleaning still, right?
Continuing to deep clean, continuing to lose her shit.
Don't deal with the problem. Just clean your house.
No, just vacuum that disgusting puke green high pile carpet.
Oh, remember we were talking last night?
That's all throughout your house.
Ew, like the amount of like dead skin cells in that carpet.
Imagine if they had like a dog.
No, disgusting.
Not with
carpet
that carpet.
Is so. I hate carpet.
But that carpet in particular, I have a little tiny patch of carpet down here.
Yeah,
that came with the house that I want to remove so bad.
Yeah, but your carpet's not gross.
It's very, very short pile, which is important.
I have some in my upstairs, and I can't stand it.
I think it's called low pile, not short pile. That's why. No, tiny piles.
I'm not a carpet gal either.
I only know because I got the carpet upstairs taken out.
I'm so glad you did. I don't even remember it.
Good.
Yeah. So gross.
Just forget it. Okay. She is vacuuming like crazy. Terry comes in and is like, Todd is here. Todd is here. And she's like, what? As she's vacuuming, which there are little things in this movie I just thought were so funny.
Yeah.
And he tells her Todd is here, and she's losing it per usual. She's like, you know, be careful. Oh no, what is it? He's about to leave. And she's like, also be careful. And also whatever. And also put on a sweater. The blue one. And we were like, what the fuck?
Oh, that's what I'm saying. Like helicopter mom for sure. And Terry also tells her that he thinks that Dr. B left.
Right. He knows damn well.
Liar, liar, pants on fire.
He's the one that hacked her up.
Sure did.
So Todd finds a little girl in the woods, which seems very random at the time.
Yeah.
And she's like looking for her cat or something.
She is. She's looking for her cat. Why is this little girl running around the woods on Thanksgiving evening? I'm not entirely sure, but it's her apartment complex. It's the 80s. I don't really know what time it is. But yeah, she's looking for her cat Tinker, I think.
Is that what she said? I missed that part.
I think it's Tinker. And Todd bumps into her and basically tells her to go home, lock the door, don't let anyone inside because there's a bad man out here.
No matter what anyone tells you, don't let anyone in.
Don't open the door. Yeah.
She's like, okay, bye. And
she does. She listens to him and then she takes off.
So we go back to the couple that we saw, the mother and her date.
Yeah.
And that's where I realized, like, oh, this is a date. These are not the parents of this baby that was upstairs. She goes upstairs. Before that, I just want to point out they have the most disgusting lineup of liquor laid out on the table.
Yeah, because I honestly don't. I'm not well versed on it, so I didn't know.
It's like creme de menthe, I think is what
There's
it's
like
called.
A banana
liqueur.
What is it called? Liqueur?
I think it's liqueur.
Liqueur. I don't know. I don't even know.
It's one of those. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, you get it.
There's no regular liquor on the table. That it's just all things that you would think. I don't know, that you would not drink by itself, but I don't know, to each their own.
Sure.
But I was just like, what is this arrangement?
Yeah.
Anyway, he's a little eccentric, so he likes something fancy. I don't know.
Well, and he also like wasn't sure like how to drink it, or he just seemed very square.
Yeah. Oh, the way he was sitting on the couch too was very like
yeah, like he's kind of, I don't want to call him a nerd, but he just kind of seemed like
uncomfortable
and kind of geeky, uptight. Yeah. And as that's happening, Karen, Artie, Greg, and Andrea are playing video games, like hanging out and doing tequila shots and just having like a good old time.
Yeah. And so the mother at this point goes upstairs to freshen up and tell her baby that she's going to get them a rich daddy.
Yeah.
That's where we're like, okay, get it, girl. And someone knocks on the door. And she's like, well, answer it. See who it is. And Bill answers the door, and it's Terry.
Uh-oh.
Like, hello. Pretty much. That's how it happened.
Yeah.
And the mother comes downstairs in lingerie.
Yeah, she's looking all hot.
And she looks out the door. Oh my gosh.
I feel for her,
this
man.
early 80s hair. Early 80s.
Dude, she's got to look back on this movie and go, oh my God.
The Aquanet that was used in the making of this film.
For real.
That's where most of the budget went to. So she looks out the peephole and she's like, Bill, what are you doing out there? Which I thought was so funny.
So funny.
She opens the door and it's just his severed head.
Yeah.
Hanging there. So the special effects director got to make his own head.
I know, that's pretty cool.
That is pretty cool.
Yeah, for sure.
And it must be very creepy.
Yeah, to see your own head.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So Todd at this point breaks into his own house and he is sitting in his bedroom.
Todd is looking around this room and I couldn't figure out if it was a room that that was Todd's original room growing up, and Maddie just hasn't changed it, or that was Terry's room and it's still like a juvenile little boy's room, even though he's like 20 years old.
That's a really good point, and I could totally see Terry still living in that room as is.
Right, especially like just judging by him and his personality and him as a person and being such a psychopath. Like, maybe I really think you're right about Maddie being like treating them like they're like little babies.
Yeah.
Like, and not even like how mom's like, oh, that's my little baby. No. Like, it seems like she babies them to a point where like she in her brain, like they haven't grown at all.
Yeah.
Like they're still children.
Yeah.
And they're not allowed to like grow up or something.
Yeah, I could see that.
Really weird.
I could see that.
Yeah.
So at this point, when Todd is in that bedroom.
I'm so sorry.
Oh, no,
Can I also say, when that lady and Bill are hanging out together, the music that's playing, it honestly sounds like a record that's like on a loop.
You said it was like 3 notes playing over and over.
It was.
Yeah.
And at first I was like, I thought, oh, okay. Like, cause I noticed it, but I was like, oh, maybe that's just a song. It's like that even afterwards. Like it doesn't change. It's the same 3 notes just over and over. It was making me insane.
I didn't notice it until you pointed it out.
Well, once I hyper focused on it, that's all I could hear. And so watch the scene. You'll know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Anyway.
So at this point, the mom passes out drunk in the hallway and Todd finds her. So he takes her to bed and she thinks it's Terry, of course. She's drunk. I would assume she
blackout.
can. Yeah. I would assume she could tell the difference between them normally, but she is very drunk. And he puts her in bed and he's like walking away and she's like, wait, give mama a kiss. And she like has her hands outreached like this.
Dude, it made me so uncomfortable.
The way that Todd kisses his mom or the way she kisses him or the way they kiss each other is so uncomfortable. It's like, how do I even describe it? It's not even necessarily the kiss itself. First of all, I stopped kissing my mom on the mouth a long time ago.
I honestly thought to myself, like, I was so disturbed by it. I was like, maybe I'm weird. Like, do people kiss their parents like this? Because I fucking don't.
I don't think it's wrong to kiss your parents on the mouth if you do that. Like, do your thing. Like,
Sure.
whatever. Like, some families are different. For me, once I hope my mom doesn't listen to this. Once I was sexually active, I stopped kissing my mom on the mouth.
Yeah,
out of respect.
Like, it's...
Even though, I mean, I guess she should have stopped kissing me on the mouth a long time ago if we're really considering that. Leave it in. I don't give a shit.
I'm fucking dying.
But
Okay.
anyway.
No, it's the way that they kiss is so sensual. It's
because
so weird.
It's because they embrace.
Well, you pointed out that she was, what's the word?
Infantilized.
Like, when you said that, it really pieced together to me how uncomfortable I was with her whole, like, look,
Her appearance, her
like
demeanor.
her hair is kind of in like pigtails. Like she looks kind of childlike. And have we talked about her talking? I don't know if we've even talked about her using the phone. Have we talked about that?
We haven't gotten to her having the breakdown on the phone yet, but it's coming very soon.
Man. It is really hard. It's really hard to watch. But
yeah.
Anyways, that embrace where she's kissing him and she looks like a child. Like,
yeah,
the whole thing is really fucking weird.
Yeah.
Anyway,
it.
yeah.
So,
wait.
What?
Like Maddie's like blackout hammered and falls asleep, but like 2 scenes later, she is awake, like pounding more wine.
Oh yeah. As soon as she's awake, she's back to it.
Anyway,
this is the way she copes. Deep cleaning and drinking a lot of wine.
Yep.
So we cut to a scene that I thought was kind of random, but Karen and Artie, right, go upstairs and they're basically jump scared by Greg and Andrea.
Yes. Yep.
Who Andrea is for some reason wearing like pretty good prosthetic,
not bad
makeup. Yeah. It looks like she actually has a prosthetic on her face to make her look like, in my mind, it was something from the Twilight Zone.
Yeah.
And they just jump scare them. And it's, I guess, just to separate the group because Karen gets pissed and she's
leaves.
like, I'm leaving. And Artie follows her.
And I think also it was kind of like a jump scare. Like it was one of those like fake out moments.
It was really good. Like I was very confused as to what was happening.
Me too.
I'm like, why does her face look like this?
Yeah.
But now Greg and Andrea are isolated. So I guess that was the purpose.
I think so. Yeah, for sure. Mm-hmm.
So Greg and Andrea start playing tennis And
and also like before this, Andrea does take a shower and Terry's like creeping around. So you think that he's going to kill them there.
Yeah.
But he doesn't.
Yeah.
He's just creeping around watching them.
I forgot about that because it was one of the scenes that was cut out because it definitely shows titties.
It does. Yeah. It's very like cat and mouse.
Yeah.
Right? Like that's how it comes across.
For sure. He's toying with them a lot of times.
For sure. Yeah. He's loving this.
Yeah. Because he could have killed them right there. She was incapacitated.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So,
and Gary, is it Gary or Greg?
Greg.
Greg is hammered. Like they've been drinking.
Yeah.
So like, I think Terry knows he's got the upper hand.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They've been drinking tequila and now they're going to play tennis.
Yeah.
Which is not what I would want to do if I was drinking tequila, but you never know.
I'm pretty sure the only time I've ever had tequila is when I'm with you. Like many, many years ago.
I thought you were going to say is when I'm playing tennis.
I just love tennis and tequila. No.
I used to be a tequila girl.
You were, and that's the only time I've ever had it.
And I don't know why. I just was like, I don't like this anymore.
Yeah, I mean, you grew out of it.
Yeah, I guess.
Taste buds change, et cetera, et cetera.
So they're playing tennis. Terry's stalking them. I thought something was going to happen here, but really he's just watching them. And then I think Greg tries to make a move on Andrea and she's like, not here. I have a better idea. And then they go into the pool room, like with the actual swimming pool.
Yeah.
And they're naked on a diving board. Greg is on top of her. They're making out. It looks so uncomfortable.
Like nothing about that. It looks great. It's just, that doesn't do it for me.
No.
No.
And Terry has had enough of it at this point, and he approaches them with his machete. I actually thought this kill was going to be a little more graphic than it was.
Yeah.
He just kind of slashes their face.
He does. And actually the special effects makeup artist, Ed French, talks about how he was inspired by a scene from The Exorcist. And that's why he did the like face slash thing. He was inspired by that and he wanted to include it.
So with Greg, he hits him with the machete. Greg falls into the pool. But yeah, with Karen, he slashes her face.
He slashes her face. Yeah.
Yeah, more than that, but that's all we see at that time.
Yeah.
So in between all of this happening, all the chaos with Greg and Andrea and then being hacked up and all that, we keep seeing the mom who's sitting on her ugly red and yellow floral couch with her dial-up phone having a breakdown. Just talking to the operator.
Yeah, like she's trying to get a hold of Brad. Now, why she doesn't just walk to his office, I'm not entirely sure about this, but she is trying to get a hold of her husband, and she's like begging the operator, like she needs help.
Yeah.
This is important. She's like crying. She's like begging, and like they keep cutting back to her, just progressively getting more and more upset.
Yeah.
And then at one point, they're like, she gets through to someone and she thinks it's Brad, and she's like, oh, Brad, I'm so glad I'm so glad I don't want to be alone, blah, blah. And then the guy on the other end is like, yo, I think you have the wrong number.
I felt so bad for her in that moment.
I did too, because she's having like a full on nervous breakdown.
Yeah.
And the way that the actress like plays that is like really like
she's feeling it.
It's intense, man. Like it's just like, I mean, at one point I was like, what do you want the operator to do?
Yeah.
Like, what are you expecting from her? Like, I was getting frustrated.
Yeah, we were both like, what is her goal here? But I think she was trying to contact Brad and she was freaking out. She couldn't get a hold of him.
Yeah, and obviously she's just mentally not well.
Yeah, and at the end, she's crying into the phone like, don't leave me alone here.
Yeah, like she's freaking out.
Yeah.
And I really do think she's like afraid of Todd.
There's a part of me that wonders, does she really believe that he did it? Or
she's just in such denial.
Or she's just obsessed with Terry.
Yeah.
I don't know.
But it's really upsetting.
Yeah.
I'm sorry to say this, but it's annoying.
It is.
It really is.
Can you tone it down a little bit?
Like, listen, I know that your son is a psychopath, but the operator can't help you. Maybe if you were not. No, it's terrible. Anyway, she's having a hard time, okay?
She is.
It's a lot.
And so now we cut to Karen and Artie. They're walking in the woods.
Yeah, they're kind of just walking around.
Yeah.
And oh my God, Karen friend zones Artie so like hard here. It actually made me laugh out loud.
You can tell that he has a crush on her, and she's like, so can you talk to Terry for me?
I know, because I think Artie can see, and maybe I'm giving him too much credit, but I think Artie can see that Terry is not interested or treating her right.
I feel like anyone with eyes should be able to see this.
For sure. And it seems as though they have a relationship. Like Karen calls him like her best friend.
Yeah.
Which, like, oh my God.
You know that stung him a little bit. Like,
oh, stung? Yeah. I feel like that was a gut punch. Like, and then she's like, can you talk to Terry for me? And he's just like, yep.
Sure.
Like, Oh,
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I thought it was just a funny scene. And like, she's just clueless to it, which
Yeah.
I feel like we've all been there when you have a guy friend and then you know what I'm saying?
I was going to say, when you're in it, when you're the one in it, I understand why you don't see it.
No, totally.
I feel like anyone from the outside can probably see it.
But you can't see it.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Anyways, she friend zones him really hard and he still agrees to help her out.
That's a good guy.
Kind of, yeah, but who knows?
You never know, really.
You never really know. But for what we've seen in the movie,
Yes.
I feel like Artie is definitely a better choice than Terry.
Well, 100% I said a berry choice. A berry choice.
Berry Terry
a better choice than Terry. So Terry actually grabs Karen's ankles at this point. They're like on a bridge thing.
Right.
He grabs her ankles, scares the shit out of both of them. And then he's like, jumps over the bridge and like, oh, I'm just playing with you.
Which psychopath.
He is literally playing with them.
Like, Todd's on the loose. Everyone knows it. And this motherfucker is like, haha, got you.
Yeah. And so at this point, I feel like this really stung because Terry says something to Artie about like, hey, thanks for looking out for my girl.
Oh, yeah.
Which, oh, now you want to claim her?
I'm pretty sure Terry knows that Artie is into Karen.
That was a power move 100%.
A million percent, yes.
He has not given a shit about her the entire movie. And now that another guy is getting a little too close, now all of a sudden it's his girl.
Terrible. He sucks. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So Artie gets into his car. Todd is hiding in the back seat. And he basically holds Artie at gunpoint.
Yeah.
He took the gun from the therapist's body, I guess.
Yeah.
When he found her in the woods.
But it's just a trank. It's not a real gun.
Oh, yeah, that's right. I totally forgot about that part. So I guess he took it from Jackie, actually. JK. Anyway, he has a gun.
Yeah.
And he's putting it up to Artie's head. And the line that I wrote down for this scene is Artie's like, hey, call me Mr. Helper.
I wrote it down too. I wrote it down too.
What was that?
I know.
I
It's
feel like that had to have been improvised because what?
Call me Mr. Helper. Don't worry, Todd. I got you.
He also has like a thick New York accent, it seems.
Yeah, he's got definitely a big accent.
Okay.
Yeah. Did I just call it a big accent? It's a big accent.
He has a big, thick accent. We're definitely getting a little delirious right now.
slap happy.
Okay, so now Terry is making out with Karen at his house on the ugly couch.
And I mean, now he's like, okay, so I want to ask you a question.
I feel like you're going to ask me a question that I wanted to ask you, but I want to know. Continue.
Is he going to kill her or does he want to actually have sex with her?
Oh, okay, that's almost the question I was going to ask you. I don't know, because I was going to ask you, why do you think he now wants to make out with her? Do you think it's a distraction so he can kill her? Or like, why is he all of a sudden, because he was so uninterested in anything intimate with her or Andrea, and now all of a sudden he's making out with her.
I don't know. I was wondering if it was like a power play, like a power move, like
maybe
like he's fucking with her head, because we've seen him playing kind of mind games with everyone and kind of getting off on, you know, playing that cat and mouse kind of game. Like, I wonder if he's been so hot and cold with Karen and she's just along for the ride. Like,
that's true.
She has no boundaries. She hasn't really told him no, like, and she straight up wants to be with him, and I honestly think he gets off on it a little bit.
That's very true. I think this is the part in this type of relationship where he would be more giving, because that's what's going to keep her around. Because oh, see, he does care about me. See, it's not always bad.
No, meanwhile, if he does take her V card, which I don't know if she actually is a virgin or she just wants to sleep with him for the first time or whatever, like, unfortunately, if she does sleep with him, like, it's just another way that he kind of has power over her, you know, and can emotionally manipulate her, right?
Especially
like,
if that means something to her, which it seems like it did based on how she was like presenting it to him when she thought she was talking to Terry.
Absolutely, for sure. Yeah. I love how deep we get with our characters. We really
because
do.
that type of shit, I feel like we really do relate to.
Yeah.
Just being
for sure.
young women, you know, growing up in the world.
It's tough out there, ladies. Okay. Anyway.
So Artie rings the doorbell. And Terry answers.
Yep.
And Artie like kind of just rings the doorbell and he's like, Todd's here. And then Todd is pointing a gun at Terry.
Yep.
He has a shot right there. He could have killed him, and he runs away.
Well, it's a trank, so I don't think it would kill him.
I keep forgetting that it's a trank.
No. I mean, because it is presented like he's going to kill him. I think poor Todd is conflicted. I don't think he wants to kill his brother.
Yeah, I think that just because he has a gun and he knows Terry is a piece of shit. I don't think it's as easy as being like, okay, I'm just going to shoot him.
No, and I think it's the difference between him and Terry.
Yes.
He's not a cold-blooded killer, you know?
I agree. I think that's definitely it.
Yeah.
So now Artie is kind of on Terry's side. He's like, you're right. Todd is crazy. And so they start chasing him.
Which again plays into Terry being a little master manipulator.
He's like, perfect. You're on my side.
Or are all these people just stupid? You know, one or the other.
Maybe a little bit of
A little bit of both. Yeah.
So they go back on that bridge where Artie and Karen were walking, and they come across a pile of weapons, a lot of them being used. Like there's a bloody machete in this pile.
Yep.
And Artie's like, oh, what's this? And he like crouches down and starts grabbing stuff.
Yeah, because he thinks it's Todd's stuff.
Right. And one of the objects is, I wrote a barbecue fork.
I wrote giant fork.
Giant fork. But I think it's like a turkey carving.
It totally is.
Which makes sense. It's a Thanksgiving movie.
For
if you
sure.
forgot. The only two scenes that really establish that are like the dinner scene and then this fork.
And him referring to cranberry sauce multiple times.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not cranberry sauce.
I love cranberry sauce, by the way. So good.
And it's coming up again, by the way.
Sure is.
You know, I'm not really a fan of cranberry sauce. I don't know why.
I like cranberry sauce that has a little bit of lemon zest in it.
Oh.
It's so good.
I feel like this is a hot take. I don't really like that much Thanksgiving food.
Really?
Isn't that weird? I feel like the turkey is always a little bit dry.
Well, I don't eat turkey, so
That's
yeah.
true.
Yeah.
You know what my favorite though? Mashed potatoes. It's really hard to fuck those up.
I love mashed potatoes and I love stuffing.
Stuffing, I don't really like it that much. I don't know why.
Dude, I could, if my whole plate was just like stuffing and gravy with like some corn or like peas or something. Dude, oh my God, my mouth is watering.
Mine is. Okay, what I get most excited for with Thanksgiving, I feel like this is not off topic because this is a Thanksgiving movie.
It's a Thanksgiving episode.
I get most excited about potatoes.
Oh, hell yeah.
Hors d'oeuvres, because my family does go hard with the hors d'oeuvres.
Hors d'oeuvres?
Yeah, like little appetizers.
Oh,
I know
okay.
hors d'oeuvres sounds very fancy.
I was like, whoa, is it like snails?
Escargot? Absolutely not. No, like deviled eggs. I don't even know if that's a Thanksgiving food. People are probably going to trash me for that. But I love requesting deviled eggs for like holiday. I don't know.
Sure. I think deviled, you're not making those on the reg, right? That's it's like Thanksgiving food. It's not something you eat on the reg.
Exactly.
However, when I became an adult and realized that I could make adult food whenever I wanted, like it was up to me. I remember one time I made myself a full vegan Thanksgiving dinner, like in the middle of the summer.
Hell yeah.
Right? I was
love
like,
that.
wait a second. And I think it was Veda Scott who like inspired that. She like tweeted that she made Thanksgiving dinner one day randomly. And I was like, girl,
wait a minute.
I can do that too.
I'm an adult. That's amazing.
Yeah.
That and dessert. That's what I'm here for.
Oh God. What's your favorite kind of dessert?
Oh my gosh, you're putting me on the spot. Well, I think cheesecake, hands down, is one of my favorites.
Is that like a Thanksgiving?
Maybe if you make it a pumpkin cheesecake.
Okay.
For me, like we always make cheesecake for like every family gathering.
Sure.
I'm not really crazy about like pies, like pumpkin pie, apple pie. I like the crust.
Oh.
Not crazy about the everything else.
I don't really care too much for pumpkin pie, but like I love like peach pie, blueberry pie, cherry pie, apple pie. But apple pie, I'm very specific about.
Okay.
Like I want the crust to be crusting.
Yeah.
Right? Like a nice thick crust.
And I like a little bit of the stuff in the middle. I just don't like to eat like mouthfuls of that.
I know. I want the crust.
Yeah.
That's why I prefer a crumble.
Oh, yeah. Ooh.
Give me a crumble, man.
Crumble all day long.
No,
Okay.
for sure. I love talking about Thanksgiving food, though. I could like go on and on.
Who doesn't want to talk about food? Come on.
No, for sure. Me and the Blade always pre-order our Thanksgiving dinner from a co-op near our house.
Oh, that's awesome.
And I'll get all my vegan sides, and then we'll get Jesse like whatever. But he loves the vegan food too.
Oh, it's so good. Everything you've ever showed me, I feel like vegan is so good.
Yeah, especially when it's junk food.
Oh yeah,
So
of
bomb.
course.
Hell yeah.
Also, mac and cheese, but you got to do it right.
Yeah, I feel like that's an American tradition because we never had mac and cheese.
Yeah.
At Thanksgiving or Christmas.
Yeah.
It was always like traditional, like stuffing, cranberry sauce, potatoes, all that shit. Dude, I'm so hungry. I cannot wait to eat. Oh my God.
All right, well, we're almost done with this episode.
Okay.
We can all go take a snack break, including you. So I guess you can really pause this whenever you want. But
Sure, we can't though.
So the Thanksgiving carving fork,
Right.
I'm just going to call it. Terry takes it as Artie is looking at all these other weapons. And Terry's like, oh, what's that? It's almost comical. And then he just stabs Artie in the neck with this fork.
Yeah, because doesn't he says something like he distracts him. It's almost like a thing like, hey, look at something shiny. Like that's what it equates to.
Well, first he tells Artie, it's not cranberry sauce, Artie.
It's not cranberry sauce.
It's not cranberry sauce. And then stabs him. But yeah, he definitely does like, oh, look over there. It's not that, but it's something like that.
Okay, wait, before we continue, yo, do you remember doing like, when we were in TNA, do you remember doing like the food fights on Thanksgiving? Do you remember our Thanksgiving food fight? I remember
you were dressed like a pilgrim. Was I in that segment?
I can't remember, but
I don't think I was.
I was dressed as a pilgrim.
But I remember that day.
I gave Maria like a face full of pie. But then there was another episode, and I think I was with Chelsea. I think Chelsea was in the episode with me, and there was a full food fight, and me and her ran under, like we scooted under the tables so that we didn't get food all over us. Because at that point, we were shooting in bulk.
And how do you even do that segment if you have to shoot anything else that day?
And we did.
That's crazy.
So I remember I think it was Chelsea. I'm almost positive, but I remember specifically hiding underneath the tables because I was like, I ain't getting fucking...
Isn't it weird that I can't remember stuff like that sometimes? Like, I know that I was there on those days. Like, I remember you dressed like a pilgrim.
Yeah.
So
I still have the costume.
Yeah, and I feel like we took a picture together. So I'm like, was I in that segment or was I just there when you were about to shoot it?
To be honest, we would shoot. Sometimes I remember we did 12-day shoots. So it all bled together.
Oh my gosh. I just saw an old post that popped up that it was like day 6 of tapings. And I'm like,
oh my God, there was one loop where at the end, we were like almost halfway through the loop. I digress on this, but we were almost halfway through the loop and I started to feel like tired and under the weather. And I was really cold because it got really cold in Orlando for some reason. And I got in the van at the end of the day and I started bawling my eyes out because it was exhaustion.
Yeah.
It was exhaustion. And the Blade was like, it's okay, boo. We'll go to Walmart. We'll get you a nice blanket. And he did. He took me to Walmart and I bought like a blanket and pajamas and like junk food. Yeah. They were like some of those loops were
brutal
because we were shooting multiple episodes a day.
Not only brutal on our bodies, but mentally. That is brutal. And especially with our makeup times, how early we had to get there.
Dude.
We didn't get to sleep in.
No.
Or go to the gym in the morning.
No.
We were there at like 8 a.m.
Yeah. Until like 11 sometimes.
At night,
It was pretty late. Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't trade it for the world because I learned, dude, it was so fun.
Yeah.
And I learned so much about performing.
Yeah.
But like, if it wasn't for you, Chelsea, and Rosemary.
Yeah.
I mean, we were
same.
The slugs.
Slugs for life.
Slugs for life. Okay, I'm sorry, guys.
We digress.
If you don't know, we're professional wrestlers, and sometimes we go off about it.
Oh, yeah, by the way.
Okay, sorry. Continue.
Okay, so where were we? Not cranberry sauce. He says it before and after he kills Artie. And because he says it twice each time, I'm counting that as 4 total.
Yeah.
5 total for the movie. Okay, I was keeping track.
I know. It's great. I love it. It's a great line.
So Karen finds him and she wants to call the police. She's like, Terry, this is going on. We got to call the police. He's holding this bloody machete.
And he's like, yes, let's call the police.
And he's saying it just like that.
Yeah, it's really overt. He's like,
let's call the police.
Good idea. Like it's so comical.
And the way he turns to her and he's like, hey, Karen. And then he just swings the machete at her and she runs.
So that makes me think he definitely wasn't going to sleep with her. I think he was just going to kill her.
Yeah, I think he was going to get in her head and then just kill her or try to torture her mentally.
Yeah, for sure.
So they're running now. Chase ensues. Okay. Now Karen is stumbling into all the bodies.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
She runs into Jackie, I believe it is, hung up. Is it?
Yeah, she runs into Jackie. She runs into...
Oh, because she runs into Jackie's body close to where he was killed. She backs up into Artie's hand because Terry has sat Artie's body up in this chair and like put his hand out like this, like open palm. And she runs her butt into his hand, basically. Like he makes Artie grope her.
Oh my God, it's so ridiculous.
And she, of course, screams, runs away. And he's like, oh, you're no fun.
Like, okay, I don't know what your definition of fun is, Terry.
That is the most Terry has really touched her.
Yeah.
With someone else's hand. Well, I guess he was making out with her, but whatever.
Yeah. And then she's running around the complex and she runs to an apartment and she's banging for help. And it's the little girl that we saw earlier. And she basically tells her, like, I'm not letting you in. I was told not to let anyone in. And she's like begging her.
Yeah, the man told me. And it's like, where's your parents?
No, fucking it's the 80s.
Yeah, that's true.
Latchkey kids, man.
They were probably at work, even though, I mean, who knows?
Who knows? Listen.
So now Karen stumbles into that couple's house.
Yep.
And
the fucking music is still playing.
She hears not only that music, not only those 3 notes, but she hears the baby crying.
Yeah.
So she's calling out for them, like, where are you? I know you're here. I hear your baby. And she walks into the room to find the baby. Or I think she does find the baby in a different room.
She finds it and she picks it up because I thought Terry was going to kill the baby and he didn't.
Yeah. He didn't.
He's got a little tiny bit of humanity, I guess.
Or he just didn't get to it,
Yeah.
to be honest. So she does have the baby with her now. And then she walks into another room and she sees Terry pulling the machete or a machete out of the lady's chest.
Yeah.
And
it's gross too.
It is gross.
It's like really cool.
Like an open wound.
Yeah, and Ed French does talk about that, how he wanted the effect to be really uncomfortable. Like you don't usually see at that point, maybe in movies, I don't know, but you don't usually see it getting pulled out.
Yeah.
Ugh, gross.
Yeah, it's interesting certain things that they will and won't show when things are being censored. Because even in the YouTube version, they showed Brad, that was a fiance, right? Mm-hmm. They show Brad's hand getting chopped off.
Interesting.
They showed that part.
Yeah.
But they didn't show like pretty much any other gore. Very, very selective. So I thought that was interesting.
Yeah.
So clearly just toying with her at this point, he walks into the room. Karen is hunched down, trying to call the police on a phone. And he just kind of like, you just see his machete come into frame.
Yeah, it's cool.
It is cool. It's a really cool shot.
Yeah.
But he's clearly not even trying to kill her urgently.
No, he's playing with her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I love this because she hits him in the dick with the phone.
Yeah. Good on her. Get out of there, girl.
Yeah. Runs away and takes the baby with her.
Yep.
Here we see the mom. Now she finally does go to Brad's office.
Yes. Has she found the bloody t-shirt yet? I think she might have found the bloody t-shirt, and that's what gets her to go to Brad's office.
In the garbage, right?
Yes.
Yes, you're right.
Still in denial. She's still in denial. Even though that's Terry's shirt, and she fucking knows it's Terry's shirt.
But she's like, his office is in the campus or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah,
in
it's
the
in the
complex.
complex. Yeah.
So maybe I should just walk down there instead of having a meltdown on the phone.
I don't get it. Yeah.
So she walks to Brad's office. She can see that he's sitting in the chair because she's like banging on the sliding door.
Yeah, it's so great.
It looks like he's just propped up with his hand in his fist, both of his fists. Mm-hmm. And she's looking at him from behind. So that's all she can see. But we see, it's gross.
It's so gross.
His face is all hacked up.
Yeah. And Terry did a number on him.
Yes. And there's blood spatter everywhere.
Yep.
So eventually she gets in the door and she sees what happened.
Her reaction is just wild. She like rests her head on him.
Yeah, she's like, I'll make it all right.
Oh,
and
it's rough, man.
And she does take his gun.
She takes his gun, yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. It was gross.
Yeah. So now we see Karen running with the baby, and for some reason she runs to the complex pool and sits by the pool with a baby, which I don't have kids. I never want kids, but I at least know, like, you don't put a baby near a pool.
Yeah, definitely not that little.
I know. And not that close proximity.
I also just wouldn't be resting at that point, but that's just me.
No, me too. I would be running for the exit of the complex.
You run, or at least if you're going to go in there, hide.
Yeah.
She's just sitting at the edge of the pool, very out in the open. But one thing I do like about this scene, it's just funny, is that you see Terry casually walk in from behind. Like she doesn't see him coming. Also weird to me. Like I would be, frantic looking around.
Same.
And so he casually walks into frame with the machete, walks up on the diving board. She doesn't hear him. I really thought he was going to like bounce and try to jump across the pool and like stab her.
That's what you said. I thought that was so funny. But instead, it's like he's just testing out the diving board.
He's just testing it. He's just bouncing. Now she hears it.
He's
she turns.
And he's like smiling too. Like he's loving this.
Yeah, he is taking his sweet time.
Yeah.
And so Karen runs into the bathroom, I think.
She does. And she hides the baby underneath like the sink.
Yeah, which I thought was an interesting choice.
I mean, the baby's going to cry.
That's what I was thinking.
But it's that panic, right? She just needs to hide her.
Yeah, I guess. But I'm like, I would be thinking, what if he finds this baby?
Maybe she's thinking more about what if the baby cries and then he finds me and kills us both?
Maybe.
That's where my brain would go. I don't know.
But she, in the process, finds the bodies of Greg and Andrea in the sauna.
Yeah.
She goes to hide in there, and they're just kind of like piled on top of each other, all bloody.
Sure.
One boob right in frame, of course.
Of course, yeah, of course.
They actually show that twice.
That's so ridiculous.
You make sure you see it,
You gotta see it in a slasher,
Mm-hmm. So Karen is chased by Terry at this point. Like he goes into a stall. I think she's hiding in a stall.
She is, and he pees.
Oh yeah,
he goes to the urinal. Like he's having a good time. He's not worried at all. Yeah.
I think the baby starts crying at this point, and now they kind of meet, Karen and Terry. Mm-hmm. And Terry chases Karen out of the room, right back into the pool room where she runs into Todd.
Yep.
And so this is the first time that we're starting to see Terry and Todd in the same scene.
Yes, together.
Or so we think.
Right.
I mean, it is. But
it is, but yeah.
Yep. Where we thought there were two actors.
I really did the whole time.
So they did a great job.
Karen takes Terry's gun because not Terry. I'm so sorry. Karen takes Todd's gun.
Yeah.
The trank because he's.
I did love that. He's pointing it at Terry.
Yes, but
and
she
Terry's
knows.
like, "You're not gonna shoot me."
Yeah.
And Karen's like, "I will, bitch.
I will fucking shoot you."
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think she can see that Todd is like, he seems like he's in shock the whole movie.
And
honestly.
he's just being too timid.
Yeah, he's too timid.
I think she literally said, "I will kill you." I was like, "Get it, girl."
I know. She was just like not fucking around anymore. I was so glad, especially after how he treated her the whole movie.
Yeah. And so Terry and Todd start fighting.
Yeah. And he like Terry like throws him in the pool. They're like fighting in the pool.
They end up in the pool. And especially when we were watching the other day, we were like really amazed now knowing that it's only one actor. We're like, oh my gosh, like we didn't realize that is probably it is a different person.
But yeah, I didn't notice it at all. Yeah.
And so at this point, the mom.
Do you think it's also because it's not HD? So it's like a
Very
little
possible.
grainy.
Very
I don't know.
possible.
Anyway.
So at this point, the mom comes into the room very slowly, very calmly, it seems.
Yeah.
And she just raises her gun right at one of the boys who's now standing outside of the pool holding a machete.
Who is Terry?
It's Terry. She shoots him several times.
Oh, yeah. It's really like kind of drawn out too. Like she's just holding the gun, like staring at him.
Yeah.
And then like, I don't know, anticlimactically, she just starts shooting him.
She and I just started blasting. I love that. The Danny DeVito meme, straight up that style. But she shoots him in the stomach. She shoots him in the eye, it looked like.
It did, yeah.
I was surprised he didn't fall over then. I think she shoots him like 2 more times.
Yeah.
And he finally
falls into the pool.
falls into the pool.
Yeah. And Karen jumps in and pulls Todd out of the pool. Because isn't Todd like drowning at this point?
Yeah.
So Karen pulls him out.
Yeah. And the mom falls over her other son, whom we know as Todd.
Oh my God.
And she goes on a tangent.
It's so fucking weird to me.
Would you call this a monologue? Because that's what it felt like. I don't know that it really is.
Yeah, I mean, she does have a lot of dialogue, but she's kind of repeating herself a lot.
Yeah.
Like, she's like, "You're my baby.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not going to let anything happen to you. I love you. I love you, my little boy.
You're my everything.
You're my whole life. You're my world. We don't need anyone else. You're the bestest." It's so, and she's like cradling him and like rocking and like rubbing his head. It's just.
When she... we're going to tell you everything she said.
No,
because
for real.
When she says you're the bestest,
It took me right out.
I was like, ugh. It reminded me, that's when you told me she was a Broadway actress, I was like, yes, that's what it is.
Yeah.
Because she's like, you're the bestest. You're the bestest. It reminded me of like Judy Garland in Wizard of Oz.
No,
like very like.
Yes. And like, I think she is what pulls the third act together, like her performance, how real it is for her.
Yeah.
She brings so much emotion.
Yeah.
And you really feel her pain.
Yes.
While also recognizing that this woman is unwell and this relationship she has with her kids is fucking weird.
There were so many times in this movie I thought her acting was a little over the top.
Oh yeah,
but
for sure.
Also times where I was like, oh, it fits.
Yeah,
like she did a great job.
I agree. I think so too. Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I saw an interview with her where she talks about like not really knowing what the genre was, not really knowing like a lot of what was happening in the movie because she was so separated from the cast. A lot of her scenes are either by herself.
Yeah.
Or with other cast members.
How wild is that to be in this movie and you really have no idea what you're getting into?
Yeah, which is funny because then Ed French says that she knew it was a slasher and he didn't understand because she was very unsettled by some of these gore.
Maybe she didn't understand how graphic it was going to be.
For sure.
Or just when she hears slasher, she's thinking like Psycho.
Yeah, no, for sure. And like she does bring a lot underneath to this character.
Yeah.
Like it's pretty obvious that she made some very strong choices.
Yeah, and same thing with Mark Soper.
Yeah.
Because that's why we are so interested in the backstory because they added so much that we know there's something else there and now we want to know.
No, for sure. And he wasn't a fan of horror movies at all. In fact,
Really?
He did not like it at all. He said he saw The Shining and he didn't understand why people liked it. When he got this role, he was like, well, now I need to know. So he went to the video store and he rented like 8 horror movies. He binged all of them, went back and watched The Shining. And he said that he had such a much more of an appreciation for the film and an appreciation for the horror genre.
Wow.
Isn't that cool?
That's really cool.
Yeah. But he did. He did a lot of work on this role. He really wanted Todd and Terry to be real people with motivations and history, and it's a great actor.
I love that.
Yeah.
Even if afterward he still wasn't really a fan, I respect that so much that he really tried to do his best.
Oh yeah, for sure. Definitely.
So at this point, the mother is like, it's just us, Terry. And that's when you realize she thinks that she shot Todd.
Yep.
And he looks at her and is like, I'm Todd.
And he just keeps saying
I'm Todd.
I'm Todd.
And he gets up and he like goes and like puts his head against the wall and I'm Todd. I'm Todd. And then she starts yelling, I'm Todd. Well, no, first she's like, no. Like that part, I thought she did a great job.
I agree.
Because I'm like, oh shit, like this is like coming to that realization.
Yeah, for sure.
She just starts screaming no over and over and over. And then she starts yelling, I'm Todd.
Yeah. But definitely like having a mental break for sure.
Yeah. And then she shoots herself in the head.
Dude, that wild. I was like, what the fuck just happened? Can you imagine poor Karen? Can you imagine the amount of therapy Karen's gonna need?
Poor choice of words, but that blew my mind.
No, dude. I was not I was like, this is so dark.
I thought she was gonna shoot Todd.
So did I.
Yeah.
She shot herself in the head.
That was wild.
She couldn't come to terms with the fact that she killed Terry, who has killed so many of the people that she cares about.
Yeah.
Who ruined her other son's life. Like, that's why God. I just want to know the relationship between her and those boys, man.
Yes, or really her and Terry.
Yeah.
She was so hell-bent on Terry is innocent, even after the doctor told her. That's the big thing, that the doctor told her.
Denial, man.
And she just was like, no. And she couldn't live without Terry.
She couldn't live without Terry. And I think I do think like there has to have been more underneath that, like why she was so obsessed with Terry. It was as if like she projected all of the bad shit onto Todd.
Yeah.
Like not even just him being a psycho killer or whatever, like anything bad that happened in their life, I feel like she put it on Todd.
Yeah.
Because she just probably couldn't come to terms with her own failures.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I mean, that makes sense to me. I will say it was not the twin magic ending that I was kind of anticipating, but I'm not mad at it. I'm glad it wasn't so telegraphed because I was totally expecting they're fighting in the pool. They're going to come out and I don't know, their shirts are off and now you don't know who is who. Oh, do I shoot Todd? Do I shoot Terry? And they're going to be like, I'm Todd or I'm Terry. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like,
that
are
whole
you
gag.
like, are you afraid of the dark? I feel like they would end like that. I'm glad it didn't end like that because that is very predictable.
Yeah.
Maybe not at that time. I don't know. But it was definitely wild.
It was dark as fuck.
I am so glad that you like this movie.
I loved it. Are you kidding me? I loved it. On a second rewatch, I loved it even more.
She texted me after she watched it the first time. She's like, Blood Rage was fucking wild, I think was your actual text.
Yo, dude, I was not anticipating that ending. I was not anticipating a lot of that movie. I was like, this is like, it's so funny because it's dark as hell, but then there's these like moments of comedy.
Yeah.
You know, where you're like, I feel like you kind of have to, or it's hard to watch. Like, imagine there was no comedic relief in that movie at all. That's like just depressing.
That does make it a lot harder. Wow. I will say, definitely watch the uncut version.
You need to. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not, I don't even know if it's worth watching the censored version.
No, unless you just, I don't know, can't handle gore, but you want to see it's not cranberry sauce. I mean, I guess you could do that. It is free on YouTube, the cut version.
I feel like this is going to be my new Thanksgiving movie that I watch every year.
Absolutely.
It's so wild. So a couple of like little fun facts would you like to hear? I couldn't figure out the budget for this movie. I couldn't find that information at all. But I could find out that one of the producers, her name is Marianne Cantor. She played the role of Dr. B.
Okay.
Because the actress that they cast for Dr. B did not show up.
Just didn't show up.
Didn't show up. So she went, all right. And she did. She took over the role. And I thought she was great.
Yeah.
I thought she was great at it. And then Louise Lasser, who plays Maddie, has said this was the hardest movie that she's ever filmed. One of the hardest movies she's ever filmed.
Wow.
Because low budget movies like that are really fast. Like you film really fast, which is funny.
Yeah.
Because Mark Soper says he was excited to play the twins because of how quickly you have to shoot. So you would have to play both characters in the same day. And I think he was excited about the challenge.
Interesting.
Yeah, but Louise Lasser, she says, I mean, I'll link the interviews in the show notes, but they speak fondly of the movie.
Good.
They do, but she does say like she didn't take it like a horror movie. She took it like this is a serious part and this is a woman having a breakdown. And honestly, For her role, that is kind of what it is.
That's what I was about to say. That's all she really had to do. She didn't have to worry about the slasher part.
Yeah, absolutely. I love it, man. I think it's a fucking fun slasher, dude.
Hell yeah. I'm so glad.
Yo, I'm so glad that you suggested it. I'd never heard of it. I was like, this is wild.
Hell yeah. Well, definitely check it out if you haven't, whether you want to watch the edited version or not. Make sure you're following us on all of our socials. We have Instagram, TikTok, Facebook at Chainsaw Girls Pod. We have a Gmail.
We do. ChainsawGirlsPod@gmail.com. You can send us movie suggestions, or if you know little tidbits about the movies you want to share with us, please do. Or if you just want to talk about the podcast, we love to hear from you.
Yes, we appreciate you so much when you watch the YouTube version as well. We're trying to grow our YouTube. We chat a lot in the comments. Definitely check out Mondays at noon Eastern. The videos drop as premieres lately, so you can chat live with other fans.
And if you haven't already, please like and subscribe. It really does help our YouTube channel. And if you haven't already, please leave us a 5-star review. It does help the podcast grow. Okay, bye.